Okay, now it's time to work on the sort of main code of this. So let's start by blasting away everything that's not a panel. So we go at part type equals panel, delete non-selected, and do points. And that's not working. Let's check that. Actually, yeah. So over in this one, I have not set my panel ID or my part type. That, and also in here, so I'm just inside this big loop here on this panel ID. One floor, so module size y and then +1 outside of our brackets. It's still not coming through. Let's okay. Yes, definitely not coming through right now. And that'll be because this is not being promoted back down. So let's switch how we're doing this. And that should, there we go, leave us with our panels. There we go, perfect. Okay. Now, want a for each point. Just hold escape on that. And we want to do this by panel ID. Cool, so that should bring in our individual point grids. Okay. Now let's check down our first wrangle. And this is just going to be one that stores the original point number. That's all that one's going to do. Then we need a second one, panel ID. And this is going to be the main block of code that does most of the work. Let's go up here and create a metadata node. And plug that one into our second input. And then plug the output from there into our third. Okay. Tighten this up a little bit. And this will want to be a detail. And this is where I'm going to switch over to Sublime Text. Just because this is going to be a lot of coding and it will just help us work a bit faster. Okay, so first thing we need to do is get a bunch of variables and attributes and just sort of bring them in. So we'll start with our seed. Okay. So let's bring in an iteration and plus our seed value. So this is called G seed, I believe, for global seed. Now we need the number of modules. It's also a channel, and it's just called module. No, just module. So this is the amount of unique modules. I'm actually going to comment this code because it's quite large. Like normally don't bother with smaller bits because the code normally upon just reading the code it makes sense what it does, but for large pieces of code like this it's a good idea. If you have to come back to it and try and figure out what it's doing or what you've done, comment your code. So get our X modules, and this should be in quotations. And we can just get that off 0.0 because it's the same on all points. So this is our horizontal modules. Copy that for our vertical modules. Let's change that to Y. Now we need to get our building ID. So that is just our building ID, don't really need to comment that. Okay. Now we need to store all of our points in an array. And the reason we're not doing this in like looping over points is the input of a wrangle is cached. So we need to dynamically update these because we're going to be deleting points for modules that are larger than like a single panel. So like if we got a taller module that takes up 3, it'll be assigned to this one and then it'll just remove these 2. And if we're running over points, we can't dynamically delete them and check that it's been deleted because it's cached there from the input. Okay. Should just make a point array. And this is going to be 0 if unassigned, 1 if assigned. So if it's been assigned a module. Let's resize this array, which is called points, to the number of points coming in. Okay. Next thing we need to do is store our weights. So that's the sort of chance of them appearing, because we have to update these as well. So we'll go for module. Okay, and the count we need to change. Actually, first we need to change that to a 1, and then the count is going to be less than or equal to the number of modules we have. And we can just append our weights, the value of channel, and we want to sprint F, and we want to do W, so that's weight base, and then %D. And this is just going to be module. So it'll go through and store all of our module weights, or the base weight. Okay. The next thing we need to do, loop over all points. So for, and we'll just call this index, start at 0, and the count is going to be the length of our point array. Okay. First thing we do is set the default panel ID. So every panel has the ID, and we're going to make a default one for where just a blank panel where nothing's applied. So set point attribute, geohandle is 0, the name is panel ID, point number is index, the value is 0, and we want the mode, we're going to set it. Get our current floor we're on. So all of this first stage is just initializing all of our values in that. So at this stage, not that any will be assigned, go if module is already assigned, to this point, and then skip. And to do that, what we're going to do, if point, and then get the index, and if that is equal to 1, continue. And what continue does is it'll just go to the next iteration of the loop. And then it'll skip all the actual code here that check what module it should place and all that sort of stuff. Saving us heaps of time.